today. We've got some cloud coverage across the northern Bahamas. Well, let's go back to our surface map to begin with. Looking at the surface map, we've got a frontal boundary just to the north of Florida. This front's going to make its way through gradually, and the winds will change behind the frontal system, and the air will cool off just a little bit. Low pressure center, we'll talk about this when we look at our hurricane forecast tracking. In the Atlantic, there's a big dome of high pressure extending. When that high moves off, the front will move south across this area. Now let's take a look at our satellite imagery. We're seeing, here you go, cloud coverage extended as an indication of the front line that we're going to be looking at. So here's front number one, and there's front number two. We're in between both those systems as they go through. Looking at it a little bit more definitive, this is what brought the showers over the Abacos. That frontal system that's now south of Abaco, moving south of Nassau, brought some showers. You see some showers down there between South Eleuthera and also Cat Island. Showers down near Long Island and into Acklands and Crooked Island. And then over Exumas with cloud coverage extending to the south. Over most of the Bahamas, you will be encountering clouds at a lower level. In some areas, some towering cumulus clouds as you go south over the southern, central and southern Bahamas. Looking at our rain gauge, satellite radar composite imagery, we've got some showers showing up to the south of Bimini down near Key Salin, some showers again south of Eleuthera and into the central and southern Bahamas. For today, these winds will pick up 15 to 20 knots, then they'll switch behind the front 10 to 15. They'll fall off 10 to 15 behind the front, switching behind the front north-northeast. Grand Bahama, you'll see it switched around. Abaco 10 to 15, 15 to 20, but they'll switch around rather very soon, 10 from the north and become north-northeast. Same thing occurring in the nation's capital. You've got southeast to south winds today, but they'll be switching around once that frontal system goes through. In the southern Bahamas, 10 to 15 knots as you go for the day. Let's take a look at our tropical update and show you what's going on in the Atlantic. There's nothing going on in the Atlantic from the African coast down to the Caribbean, to the Bahamas. But there's an area right here in the Caribbean basin bringing quite a bit of showers and thunderstorms into the Cayman Islands and into Jamaica over the last 24 hours, also into Nicaragua and Central America. This area does have the potential for developing into something further. And let's take a look and show you how this has been interacting with that frontal system that came through. You can see that this is the area here of low pressure center. And that dot right there is Cayman Islands. And here is Jamaica coming into Montego Bay, the western side. Lots of showers and heavy thunderstorms showing up connected to this system. This, what you're seeing here, is obviously from the front line and not anything from this system at all. The forecasters are forecasting this to stay pretty much south of this area. I saw one of the forecast map taking it over a Cat Island, but that has now since been discounted. Most of the forecasters are pointing this system to either go into Central America or into the Gulf of Mexico or across the Yucatan Peninsula. All right, let's take a look at the forecast for tomorrow. Frontal system should be just that frontal system that you saw over north-central Florida into Georgia should be moving off to the north and west, and it should be breaking off north of the Abacos, but it still will be bringing some moisture with it, as you have still warmer air on the southeast side of the front and cooler air on the northern side, and you have these inversion or clash of temperatures, and the colder air wants to override the warm air, and as a consequence of that, you end up with some potential for showers. High pressure will come behind the frontal system, and we should have a pretty decent weekend in store for you. Here's what you can look for wind-wise across the Abacos, 10 to 15 knots, New Providence 10 to 15 knots, Grand Bahama 10 to 15 knots, Eleuthera 10 to 15, and also in the southeast Bahamas on Thursday as that front would have gone through. Look, the winds clocked around to the north-northeast, north-northeast, north-northeast as you continue. Looking at Friday, again, another beautiful day in store, 10 to 15 knots. That's 10 to 15 up and down the coast of the Bahamas, and looks really nice for the upcoming weekend. If you want to do some boating, this is a good time for you to do that this coming weekend as the conditions improve. Here's your boating forecast for today. Seas will be 4 to 6 feet offshore. Still choppy out there, 15 to 20 knots as the winds will get somewhat 15 to 20 knots. Whale Key will have a chop, and as a consequence of the chop, you'll see boaters should exercise caution as they go through. And southern Bahamas, your winds should be 10 to 15 knots. That's 10 to 15 knots. Your winds will be slightly less than what we get here in the northern Bahamas. So you should be okay as you go into the weekend and also into today as things begin to shape up. The tides, if you're planning to do some fishing off the rocks this evening, the tides will be high at 7:05 to this morning, low at 1:28 this afternoon, and high tonight at 7:19. High tonight at 7:19, low at 1:28, and high at 7:19 today. Thank you so much for being here with us today.